Welcome back to the Pro Football Pod. We got week 2 in the books. We got our guest in the building, DJ Chief Sut from Day One Dolphins, coming live to you boys. How you feeling this week?
I'm feeling 2-0. I bounced back from an 0-4 fantasy week to squeeze out some tough ones. I got to see you lose by less than a point because you.
Hey, that's not confirmed yet. Until tomorrow, whenever all the stat corrections happen, I haven't lost that game yet. In my mind, Jason Sanders hasn't screwed me just yet.
Yo, yeah, when they correct it, they're going to give him an extra point.
Maybe not him, but somebody's got to get something. I lost by like 0.8.
Sometimes it happens like that, bro. If you remember, I lost the championship to Alvy by 0.04, and that was after I was up by like a half a point. Leonard Fournette take one carry, he loses yards, and then they pull him out and kick it. And I'm like, I just lose a championship off of that?
That's all it takes.
Sweet. Hey, man, to game of inches.
I am currently 8-2 on the season, so I'm totally fine with that. I've only lost one game each week, and only in one league. So it's like I've got one loss in 2 leagues, and I'm 2-0, just like the Dolphins in 3 of them. So I'll take that every day of the week.
Me too.
It's definitely been a rough start for fantasy.
It's early, though. There's no need to freak out. We've got to get some film up. Got film to watch. It's okay. Make adjustments.
Speaking of the film, there's definitely some players that popped off this week that were a little bit surprising. I think Josh Reynolds was one that he had a solid first week, and my cousin Alex had him and was trying to start him, and I stupidly told him not to. I was like, I don't know. It's a bit risky. Honestly, playing against Geno in Detroit, you have to play someone like Josh Reynolds. Like, pretty much you have to play everyone that's going to touch the ball on that offense because they're going to touch it so often.
You told him not to start him?
Yeah.
I told him to start him. That's why he was in his starting lineup.
Oh, did you?
Yes, we were driving down. I was like, it's the Seahawks. It's going to be a shootout. He had a solid week 1 versus the Chiefs.
That's what he gets for listening to me.
He's the only other option outside of Amon-Ra St. Brown. The Seahawks are going to allow a lot of passing yards. Keep him in the lineup. And he listened to you, and look what happened.
Now,
Jason
to be safe,
Sanders trustee.
If it wasn't for Amon-Ra having that toe injury or whatever it is that's going on with him, he didn't catch a ball after that injury, after he went into the tent. Josh Reynolds' value went way up because of that. So, I mean, you can't ever know that injuries are going to happen. I just know that he's not necessarily the number 2 target. Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, there's a lot of people that have to eat in Detroit. I wasn't sure Reynolds was going to be the guy, but if Amon-Ra misses any time, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, he's an automatic start. He's a wide receiver 2 at that point.
He's only rostered in 2% of leagues. I have him in 2 of my leagues.
Yeah.
I'm only in 3.
You're one of like 7 other people that has Josh.
Jamison Williams was out. Like, I'm telling you, I liked him at the end of last year. He's got a great game, and Goff trusts him.
He used to play for the Rams, right?
Yes.
So that connection's been
It's all
there.
about the trust.
Yeah, and speaking of trust, it's really hard to trust Colby when he's the kind of guy that'll push you to start Sky Moore when you really don't want to. And he says things like, "Oh, I know that you're playing me, but with the Kelsey thing and everything going on, I just don't know how you don't start him."
If he wouldn't have dropped every ball that went his way, he would have been a great start that week.
He did not drop any balls thrown his way. Kadarius Toney did. Sky Moore
He dropped 2 balls. Sky Moore, he had 2 drops the first week.
Sky Moore didn't drop anything, bro. You dropped the ball, getting me to start somebody I didn't want to start.
That didn't make the difference. If we're being real, that wasn't what made the difference in the loss.
It was part of it. It's momentum.
So besides Josh Reynolds, like we said, he's available in 98% of leagues. If he's available, you have to get him at this point. I would even say, as far as like, if Puka Nacua is available, you spend the number 1 waiver on him. But other
There's
than that,
no way
I might be
he's
going
still
Josh
available.
Reynolds.
Yeah,
he's not in any of my leagues, but he is still available in 10% of leagues. So there's some out there that like, and the guy, I mean, nobody thought he was going to do what he did against the San Francisco 49ers, but he's an every week start. If he's on your team, he has to be at least a flex play until Cooper Kupp comes back.
And even then, who knows,
So what else you guys got?
I was gonna ask what you guys think about the Zach Moss hype. Is that an automatic need to sign?
That's literally who I was about to say. He was the only running back to get touches for the Colts last week. The only one.
100%
So it doesn't matter
touches.
what they do. You know his volume share is going to be there, and he was generally effective. I mean, I know it's the Texans, but the Texans defense is a D'Amico Ryans defense. It's still stout. Like for me, I think you roster him, and he's easily rideable as a RB2 the rest of the way. Because I don't think Jonathan Taylor suits up and plays for them even when he comes back.
He's getting traded.
Think?
Yeah, I mean, he's
not to Miami because they don't need him.
But what is Indianapolis gain by trading him besides like just maybe a pick or something? The picks that they want doesn't sound like anyone's willing to give them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's not looking good for the Colts. Like have you heard what they've asked for? Like Jalen Waddle type shit. Like
yeah,
they're not getting that
kind
of player. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah, well,
I mean, it's the type of player you should be able to acquire for him.
No,
I'm not saying actually Jalen Waddle, but a player on another team up to that caliber. Like that's what it takes for Jonathan Taylor.
After like halfway through the first quarter of the Colts game, whenever Anthony Richardson ran in that second touchdown, my first thought was he doing this in training camp? Jonathan Taylor saw the writing on the wall, saw that his value was just going to tank, and decided to pull all this crap because of Anthony Richardson. Because as a running back, I realized that I could potentially get more yardage, but my touchdowns are going to go way down because of having a guy like this on my team. How can Jonathan Taylor be the best running back in football whenever he has Anthony Richardson? I don't think that it's possible.
So see, I
don't think it's that necessarily because for me, I mean, we've seen powerful offenses that have a running quarterback and a stout elite running back. I mean, it's not something to where you say, you don't necessarily, oh, well, I want out of here because he's going to get all my touches. Like, I don't think it's that. I think it's just how we saw this offseason go. It was the offseason of the running back. These running backs are seeing the writing on the wall. They're wanting their money. They're wanting to get paid. And they're going to have to come to the realization, all right, if you want guaranteed money, you're looking at 2 to 3 year deals for, $8 to $10 million a year. It'll be guaranteed, but we're not signing you long term. And that's the issue right now. I don't think it was necessarily Anthony Richardson. I think he's just trying to get paid, which understandably, but then again, there is an argument as to why he shouldn't be the highest paid because, I mean, has he ever led the league in rushing? Has he ever led the league in touchdowns?
He was the most productive fantasy running back 1 year, which meant that he was on top in all of those categories, but he still wasn't the number one. He was up there because he was the most productive fantasy-wise. That means he got the most receptions and blah, 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 blah.
So your salary can be up there, but if you're wanting top dog money, I need to see top dog numbers. Like, I want you number one in everything.
Also, look at the offense he's on.
Dude, thank you. Didn't Jamal Williams lead the league in touchdowns last year with 17 or something wild like that? So are you telling me that he deserves to be paid like one of the top dogs because Jamal Williams scored 17
He led the league
like...
in one category.
Exactly. I mean, I like that.
Connor
Jamal
also
Williams
led
is
the
not
league in one
asking
category. I'm not touting that for him either.
You know what I mean? Neither one of them deserve to get... Numbers can be deceiving. And for what guys like him and Saquon and even, you could say Eckler, what they're asked to do is a lot more than what they're paid to do. And if they excel, it's awesome. They don't get a bonus for it. They don't get anything extra, really, depending on their contracts. I don't know. But it's very underappreciated, and I can kind of see where they're coming from with, like, do it without me. Because look at Saquon yesterday. Like,
I know we got hindsight. I know we got hindsight with Saquon, but with the ankle injury and stuff, it just kind of solidified the reasonings to why the Giants weren't willing to give him the contract.
That's messed up. That's not right.
But that's my thing.
He's going to miss 3 or 4 weeks.
Jonathan Taylor hasn't played a full season, can't finish a full season. Like, that's my thing. Like, it's the position. Yes, it sucks, But that's why I think they need to be on short-term guaranteed deals. Get your money, because this is a game that's going to mess your body up for the rest of your life in one way or another. So get your money, but we can't sign you long-term just because it's not fiscally responsible.
So it'd be one thing if these guys were asking for high-end wide receiver or quarterback money. They're not asking for 25, 30, 35 million a year, bro. They're asking for 15 tops, maybe 20 if you want to get crazy. And I don't even think they're doing that. And I understand that's a lot, but for what other guys are getting paid every week and for what they can do, and hindsight is whatever you want to call it, but all of these contracts are also paying for previous production because all these guys are on rookie contracts. So by not paying him and not showing up, you're basically telling him, thank you for all that stuff you did for us earlier, but we really don't care. And now that you're hurt, you're proving to us that we shouldn't pay you and everything that you did for us doesn't matter and we don't care. It's just a very ugly business tactic, which I understand the NFL is an ugly business, but it doesn't have to be. And they just are because they can. And that's what the running backs are pissed about. And I'm with them on that because it's whack.
We know that teams that pay running backs don't make the playoffs very often. Like, if you pay a top-tier guy, then your chances of making it to the playoffs are diminished heavily because of how much you're spending on that position. That position and linebacker. It's not just running backs. The two positions that are the most physical, that go through the most abuse, are the least paid. These guys are still getting a lot of money. I understand that, like, it's not as much as the other positions. I think that what the players need to be willing to do is they need to be willing to be a part of the committee, right? If you're a part of a 3 running back by committee and you stay healthy all year and you're able to achieve good things for your team, then those players are going to be able to get bonuses in the postseason and making it to the Super Bowl and all those things. Like, that stuff does get you more money. The more games you play, the more that you make. So making it to the playoffs alone means that you're going to make a little bit more. Now, you're not going to make a difference between 8 million and 15, but you're still going to go from like maybe 6 or 8 to 10 or 11.
Maybe. But either way, everybody's kind of in the leagues that are hitting me up, they're looking for running backs. Did you guys have any other running backs before I move on to a different position?
So Roschon Johnson is still available in way too many leagues. None of mine, because all of my leagues have someone like Sutton in it who know better, but he's available in 80% of leagues right now. This guy should not be. The fact that Deonta Foreman was given a healthy scratch means that he's guaranteed to get touches, and they're just going to continue to give him more and more production as the weeks go on. Khalil Herbert is obviously not a number 1 guy. He's the number 1 of a committee, but he could get his job taken real quick.
Obviously, I agree, because as you've seen, I was telling you to pick him up last week when you were hitting me up for running backs, and then I took him. So
he definitely looks solid. I mean, that's a team that's scary because of the running quarterback capability, but and they don't have the greatest run power offense going on, but he definitely shows that he can run the rock.
Only thing sketchy with that, would you guys agree that offensive line is like one of the worst things ever?
Yeah.
You can fix the scheme, but PPR, little dump offs to Roscoe, a lot of that.
That's what we're hoping for.
Awful. Like, that whole offense, top to bottom, is just awful. Like, DJ Moore is literally just looking at himself in the mirror like, you got to be joking me. Like, it's the same situation I was dealing with. I honestly think he'd be better off if he would have stayed in Carolina.
I don't think he cares. I don't think he cares. He got paid, you know?
He wants to win. He's a guy that actually the reason why he's been so consistent with all these random quarterbacks is because he's a football guy that wants to win. So the money might not hit him as hard.
To win. You know,
when you got millions, when you got millions,
the first 2 weeks.
But
the
if Bears
look good, dude.
You want to win.
In the offseason, on paper, everyone was sure the Bears were going to be the thing. The Fields at 10, I was convinced it was a good pick. And I'm not convinced at this point that it wasn't yet. He still isn't developing quick enough. Like, he had so much time on some of these throws, and he was just sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting. It's like, throw the ball. Just throw it to somebody, man. Like, even if it's a 5-yard gain, just get the 5.
Sometimes it was that, definitely. But from what I saw some very terrible play calls and some really bad offense. And then I think I sent y'all the tweet from a little bit ago. They ran three plays, same play 3 times in a row. And the Bucs defense was calling it out, saying, yo, it's the same play from last time, same play from last time. And then they pick six it. Don't put that on Justin Fields. And when you're running these crappy route combinations where, DJ Moore's not open, well, we didn't really design it for anybody else to be open. So Justin Fields doesn't really have a read on some of the plays. Some of them, his processing was off and he didn't hit it. But some of them, there just isn't anything there because it's so bad. And their pass rush, Bucs pass rush was good, but they were there unblocked, 2 seconds, winning bull rushes, winning every one-on-one. Like, it's kind of sad.
Defense is still there, the Bucs.
Yeah.
For what it's worth, Matt Eberflus, the head coach for the Bears, is 3-19, I believe, since he's been there, and they have lost 12 straight dating back to last season. I give him about 2 to 3 more games before he's fired.
Yeah, you can't lose that
much.
Like,
not trying to call anybody's job or anything, but that's just the way it's going to go. Because, I mean, you can't do that, especially in Chicago, especially with all those picks they loaded up on with Carolina trading up to number 1. Like, that GM's going to be like, all right, sorry, buddy, this ain't cutting it. Because you've only got, 1 to 2 more seasons that you need to see of Justin Fields before you're needing to move on? Like, same thing with the Jets and Zach Wilson. Like, and they've already brought in somebody to try to replace Zach. That didn't really work out now, but
and that's
they brought
interesting.
Somebody in.
I mean, they're rolling with them because they have to, but like, it's scary for them in their season. Like,
well, it's still early. Like we told everybody, and to his 3rd year, like chill out. Like let's give them time, give him a good coach, and you see, get some weapons,
Saleh
get some good coaching around him, and let him see it.
Coach.
So
I know, but he's a great coach in general. Like he's one of my favorite coaches in the league. I don't know if you guys feel that way, but I know because y'all are all Finns fans, so like y'all must hate him.
Even though he's a Jet, because of when he was with San Fran, I like him from back then. Same as D'Amico Ryans, for the same reason. The way that they ran that defense and just like the type of dog they've got in him, like I like him as a coach.
I like him as a DC. I think as a head coach, he might be a poser.
Poser?
Yeah. Why is Brees Hall not getting the ball, dude?
That was messed up. I think that was on Nathaniel Hackett.
He did in week 1.
I think that's because they get down and they instantly start panicking.
That's your biggest playmaker. Garrett Wilson is not your biggest playmaker. Brees Hall is.
My thing is
he's
if you
coming off
realize
injury,
the
though.
pass isn't working, just go ahead and give Brees 25 carries a game and just see what happens. Like, let that defense play and work the clock.
If he's cleared, he's healthy. If he wasn't healthy, he wouldn't be cleared.
We just saw what Raheem did to the Patriots. Like, they need to take that same script for going into this next week versus the Patriots with Brees. Because as much as I love Raheem, Brees Hall is better. And
much better. He's 23 and the fastest running back in football right now at his size. He's prototypical size, and he's super fast. Yeah, A-Chain is definitely the fastest. He's definitely the
faster than him, dude.
All right, so I want to cover one more player, and it's not one, it's 3. Anybody from the Texans receiving core,
I'm about to say,
if they're
Nico
available. Nico, Tank Dell, and Robert Woods. Robert Woods has 19 targets. All of these guys have at least 14 targets. Tank Dell has the least. And this past week, he put up 10. Now, my order of priority is Nico first. Not just because of this past week, but because of the first week too. They look like they want to put the ball in his hands. 146 and a touchdown. Obviously, you're going to go with that guy. But the first week as well. This is going to be a garbage time ton.
How is Nico available in any leagues? He's not available in anything.
He was my last pickup in every league I was in.
Shout out CJ Stroud is a good one to go ahead and try to throw on your roster as well because of the garbage time stuff.
Yep.
Like, yes, the Texans are 0-2. He's a rookie quarterback. But as far as his first 2 games, the only 2 rookies to have more passing yards in their first 2 games were Kyler Murray and Joe Burrow. Both went on to win Rookie of the Year.
There it is. So like,
Yeah, most
so
passing yards
garbage
of the
time
day,
is
didn't
going
he?
to work in his favor, and that's what fantasy win. That's what wins you championships. You can win championships with an entire team that wins a total of 5 games in real life, but all that garbage time is going to give you nothing but points.
Colby's seen me do it. I've won championships.
Garbage time
based on that
kings.
philosophy. But on that topic of quarterbacks and Justin Fields, I have a league where I have Fields, and I definitely am. You know, I'm a little wary because I didn't draft a backup, and so I've been watching quarterback. Somebody that's not a garbage time guy that I actually am starting to like and I'm putting claims in for, Jordan Love.
Oh my God, yeah.
Because even though they want to run the ball, they actually are passing it pretty decently. And he's not throwing Tua style where he's doing all these bombs and like doing all this crazy stuff, but he's throwing a lot of high efficiency touchdowns in the red zone. And if I'm not going to get the rushing floor and I'm not going to get 300-yard passing games, touchdowns is the only thing I can ask for. And if this dude's going to just keep putting up 2-3 a game, and some of them on these little, you know, touch passes and other little corny things, I'll take them.
He hasn't even been playing with his biggest weapon, Christian Watson. Like
this week,
untapped potential. You know, we're gonna see it.
Yeah.
So one last little quarterback nugget. He's the number 10 quarterback in yards in the league, number 1 in the NFC East in yards and touchdowns. Sam Howell, available in 95% of leagues. This guy is a streaming option. He looked good against the, I mean, the Commanders aren't supposed to win this game. Jahan Dotson only had 3 catches for like 36 yards, and they still were able to put up what they were able to put up. I think that Sam Howell is a little bit of a sleeper. I would go Jordan Love absolutely before, and Jared Goff on any matchup at home versus some shootout team. But Sam Howell is definitely a stash play. Guy's young, dynasty look up.
Super flex, maybe you're going to get people killed telling them to pick up Sam Howell right now. It's that running game.
Agreed. I'm saying that from a fantasy perspective, he's got the most yards and most touchdowns in his division, in a division with Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts, and Daniel Jones.
And you're talking about through 2 weeks, a Giants offense that didn't look like a real team until the second quarter yesterday, including week 1.
I don't
where
think that they
put up
are
0
a real
points.
team. I don't think they are a real team.
And they might not be. But I think that's a scary stat. You're going to get people killed getting horny about Sam Howell. He's straight. Superflex, yes. Dynasty, yes. Maybe. But like 10, 12 team, half-point PPR, like, bro, you better not be. If you're picking up Sam Howell right now, you must have had Aaron Rodgers. And
a lot of people
I like
have
Sam Howell as a stash in Dynasty.
yeah,
I like him as a stash
I like
play.
what did they say? I like the cut of his jib, if you will. Like he's got some moxie to him, and like I do like him. Like, but like you said, you did throw it on there. He is a streaming option. Yeah. So your starter got hurt.
Yeah, this
like
isn't the guy. Oh, just drop everyone you got. But like if you've got only one guy and he really isn't working out for you, if you've got Joe Burrow, you better pick up Sam Howell, or Jordan Love or somebody like that. But if you've got Joe Burrow, he's a matchup dependent at this point. I'm not just gonna throw him out there. Like he looks like that offense in general.
Joe Burrow had 2 divisional matchup games in his first 2 games of the season. So let's pump the brakes a little. We know he's got a slow start.
I'll watch him. I feel you, Coach.
I'm freaking out a little bit if I've got Joe Burrow. I didn't take him early. But him and Fields
he played against
are on the
2
same.
good defenses.
They were taken within like a round of each other, and they're both on the same exact trajectory.
All right, Coach. So 3 names, yes or no. Would you like them over Sam Howell? Russell Wilson.
Yes.
Jared Goff.
It depends on matchup, but yes.
I like that.
It's literally a yes or no.
Jared Goff is like, I don't want him every week. I don't want him every week.
He just has the third longest streak without an interception.
Which was great.
Matt Stafford.
Yes.
So Matt Stafford hasn't thrown but 1 touchdown all year. That's my only issue with him. That's my only issue. He's solid though. Like the other thing is I'm excited for Matt's only one. I'm excited for Stafford whenever he gets Kupp and Puka Nacua because he's gonna have a legit receiving core at that point. I'm excited to see what they can do, but before Cooper gets back, I mean, he's getting the yards, but he's not able to get into the end zone because he doesn't have a guy that can do that for him. And Higbee looks like absolute garbage. So, like, their one big tight end option, like, just hasn't been doing anything for them. He's Mr. Consistent, and he's just nothing.
Yeah, he's been slacking. Puka's look great, though.
Puka's him.
He is. He looks like a Debo type. Like, he's really built, like, strong. He, like, you see people try to tackle him, they just bounce off him.
He thinks,
I don't
like,
get how he's, like, open so often. Like, they know that he's throwing him the ball. Like, they know it's happening. He's been targeted like 35 times
that
already
offense
this year.
is insane to me. How they'll just target one receiver literally 17 times a game with no remorse. They don't care.
None.
They don't care if you know.
It's
they
going
just
to him. Stop it.
Yeah.
I'll do it all day.
And Matthew Stafford, like it, and you know, going into the season too, is Cooper's out, Matt's coming off of an injury. Like, how are they going to look? And like, think back to his Detroit Lion days. Like, how many years was he having Pro Bowl caliber seasons with absolute trash bags at wide receiver, not named Calvin Johnson?
Marvin Jones.
He always picked
Matt
a guy,
Stafford
though.
made Marvin
He
Jones.
always
the end
picked
of it.
a player.
Yeah.
Like, he had a Marvin Jones. He always had one
Golden
guy.
Tate.
Hawkinson was it for a while. Golden Tate. Like, he always had one.
Yeah. And I love Frat Stafford. I don't care if these kids are on their phones or whatever. He's the man. He's the myth.
I loved that.
That's always the streaming option, bro. He's
The
always on
Facebook?
waivers.
Did you guys hear about this? Matt Stafford had the Facebook. So he had his assistant or something print out a book of all the players and all the staff and their faces and like some information about them because he didn't know who they were because they're like they get done with practice and they just start looking at their phone, like walk into their cars, like they don't communicate, and he's like trying to get to know these new guys. So he had them make a Facebook. It's the oldest, whitest thing I've ever heard of in my entire life. Like, I thought that he was 65 going on 70 at this point.
Oh, hell no.
What did we miss?
Nick Chubb, bro.
Minka, he's down. Like, down bad. Like, they're like both teams are taking a knee.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Nick Chubb's down as well.
Good.
Chubb too?
Yeah.
Do they run into each other?
One's holding their knee. Nick Chubb's holding his knee. I don't know what's wrong with Minka.
God damn it. Not Nick Chubb. That's just bad for football, man. He's just the standard, dude.
Right.
Like, golly. But if you want to talk fantasy waiver ads, his backup is kind of a bum. I wouldn't trust Jerome Ford with Colby's team, but
I've got him on my deep dynasty team because of that. Because Chubb's gonna get hurt, and the same reason I got Tyjae Spears, and Tyjae Spears touched the ball like way more times than Derrick Henry the first week. Now that got changed in week 2. But
only a
little. That's why we got that man, because he's gonna start touching it more and more and more and more, and then he's gonna be the number one guy, and then we're gonna be okay because we're gonna have Aaron Jones and him.
So Tyjae is your angel in the end zone?
No, actually, we'll go over that right after we cover this. So Austin had a little trivia question for everyone out there. So he did a little bit of research for you guys. So Austin, go ahead and inform the kids out there how many footballs in a season. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. How many cows does it take to make one season worth of NFL footballs?
What you got, Sut? You're the only person that doesn't know the answer.
How many cows what?
Does it take to make one season worth of NFL footballs?
30.
You think only 30 cows?
How many balls are there and how many? Like, I can do math, but I'm just throwing a number, dude. What do you want?
They do new balls every week. It's
like 300,000. 3,000.
No, yeah, 3,000 cows though.
3,000.
One season.
No, 3,000.
Yeah, which one is it? That's a big difference.
3,000. You threw me off at 30.
Bro.
You threw me off at 30.
Yeah, good. Well, I don't know, dude. Like, they seem like really high-end balls. You can use them every week.
They get lost in the stands, and the players take them home after every touchdown.
No, they don't.
Kelsey kicks him into the stands.
You know, most of the time that they kick the balls in the stands, the NFL sends somebody in to retrieve it and take it back from them.
They'll pay him
that
for
you have
it.
to like.
So
no,
that's why I
bro.
assumed it's 30
They
cows.
pay him if it's like the Tom Brady ball, but if it's just like some football, then they just like say like, nah, that's ours. You have to like hide it. You have to like basically leave the game if you want that ball.
My wife's pregnant with it.
The Nick Chubb, the injury was so bad they didn't even show the replay. It looked like his leg got wrapped up and literally just like snapped
So
and whipped.
he did a Dak.
Him and
Dak
Minka
Prescott.
both went down on the play, but they carted him off. And like I said, if they don't show the replay, that it's not good.
And that's why I draft receivers in the first 2 rounds.
Never. Never. One and one. That's always worth the risk. The same reason you take Bijan,
take too
the same
much.
reason screw that. You always take a Bijan. You always take a Chubb. You always take a Henry.
Barkley.
Oh,
Always.
for sure,
Eckler.
take a Chubb.
So-
Chubb, I have Chubb in my dynasty league. Like this is
That's
going to be a
ignorant.
big hit to me right now.
Kareem
got
Hunt
Colby
needs to be
Bigger hit to
rostered.
him because it's his life. Like he don't give a
Cor-
shit about my fantasy team.
Kareem Hunt needs to be rostered in 100% of leagues at this moment immediately. For like we're about to leave the waiver wire section, so I'm glad this happened now, so we don't have to do it later.
you're
Kareem
glad.
Hunt and Leonard Fournette. If you can't get Kareem, get Leonard because one of these guys is about to get signed by the Browns. They are not going to just work on Ford. Ford's going to be there, and he's going to be a solid
If
pickup.
Kareem Hunt doesn't get a phone call from them knowing the scheme, that's insane to me.
It's insane. I mean,
He's on the
Kareem
phone
Hunt
right
needs
now.
to be rostered. Yeah.
Sam Laporta, I think he should be definitely rostered in 100% of leagues because tight end's really slim this year.
I'd be
and
surprised
the
if
man's
he's
been
not.
putting up solid points for a rookie. He looks solid.
Love
He's
that.
solid.
Like he looks
Love
real
that.
smooth.
He's the one guy that I did go out of my way in most of my leagues and just grab him if I could, because there's 1000% no reason not to. It's not like I have a starting tight end that's really excelling anywhere right now. So
Exactly.
this dude's getting the targets. When he
And
gets
that's
the targets,
including
he catches
Kelsey.
the ball. Dude, he correct me if I'm wrong. He's outscored Kelsey on the year. Like,
I think he has.
so
Kelsey
He
didn't play
he
week
outscored
one.
Kelsey last week. He outscored Kelsey last week. He was
And,
the number 10
Well-
tight end in fantasy.
Well, that's something we should talk about because that was only 8 points. So
and that was a very tight defensive match. But honestly, Laporta just might be him.
he's
a dude.
he really does look like him. When we saw him playing week
He
one, I was
was-
like, well, shit.
Goff's
He was
throwing it
easily-
35 to 40 times a game.
He
Their
was
defense-
easily my favorite tight end prospect. Michael Mayer looks really good, and he's a great blocker. As a football
guy.
player, he's probably the best tight end. But as a receiver, Laporta is just so smooth in the combine. The way he was coming out of routes and his soft hands, like he looked like the best receiving option. I'd be surprised if he's available in your league, but if you need tight end, Hunter Henry's not available, then pick up Laporta. I think Hunter Henry, though, is another one. He just put up another big week, 2 touchdowns 2 weeks in a row. He's obviously their only target in the red zone. They don't even look at Devontae Parker for the most part. So him and Kendrick Bourne on the Patriots are worth a look. But I think Hunter Henry's like... I spent a waiver spot on him last week because the only thing I needed was tight end, and I'm very happy I did. I now know that my tight ends are good for the rest of the year.
Jasicki is why people needed to like pump the brakes on Hunter Henry, but you can see now that Jasicki's nothing to worry about with Hunter.
Nope.
Hunter Henry can literally cheat and it doesn't matter. But Austin, I got a trivia question for you. What do you think? I looked this up earlier when I was doing Day One Dolphins. What do you think Kendrick Bourne's 40 time is?
Shit, that's a slow boy right there. He running a 4.8.
Or 6'8".
That's
Not
slow.
as fast as me.
Yeah.
I'm slow. So I just can't get down with that when like there's
How
so
is he
many
getting
3
open?
so you guys all get like you draft like 16 receivers in the first 5 rounds and then you end up with Cam Akers as your RB2 and then you want to call me week 2 talking about running backs. It makes me sick to my stomach, just so you guys know. But for me, I'm the kind of guy that where if I'm going to have a receiver, I just can't have one of them slow pokes unless they're just an automatic every week touchdown threat. Because every team has a 3 receiver set, and there's consistently guys making 40+ yard plays and big plays strictly due to them being fast and somebody blowing a coverage. So for me to like spread my fantasy money onto big old slow pokes like that, Never in a million years.
So
Tight ends,
you
yeah,
bring
but
up a
overall,
really good
never.
point. Marvin Mims Jr. is someone that a lot of people are going to target this week because of his production. He ran 5 routes. 5 in the whole game. He's not rosterable. He's not, because he's put up the numbers he's put up. He's too boom or bust. He's going to bust for you. As soon as you roster him, he's going to bust and bust and bust. He's not going to just continue to boom like this. Now, Russ has, at this point, it looks like 4 receiving options. And Jerry Jeudy and Courtland Sutton aren't his favorite targets. Courtland Sutton, he only targeted in the fourth quarter whenever they were literally just trying to get down the field. But like that's the only time I saw him even look his way. He intentionally didn't throw a touchdown to Courtland Sutton whenever he broke his guy in the end zone, and instead threw it to the back of the end zone to throw it to like Johnson. So I'm terrified of all receivers from the Broncos at this point. But I'm not going to spend fab and like spend a waiver wire pickup on Marvin Mims because I don't think that 5 routes is enough. I'm looking for 8 targets, and he's definitely not getting that.
I feel you. Russell Weirdo is not someone I want to rock with, you know? Did you see the dog in him whenever the ball was loose in front of him?
You mean Mr. Unlimited?
Mr. Unlimited.
Unlimited.
He did not have any gumption to grab that ball in front of him. It was a loose ball. He was just sitting there on his knees. I don't know if y'all boys saw that, but it was sad.
It's called a business decision. I'm a quarterback, dog. What do I look like jumping in that? That's what y'all do.
Team. You gave up the game like that.
He also nailed the Hail Mary. And again, let's talk about Marvin Mims. That guy
I don't know if you can call that nailed. I don't know if you can call that nailed.
Yeah,
that was bobbled 4 times, bro. Like that was the worst defense on a Hail Mary I've ever seen.
So you're only in the position for the Hail Mary if you come back the drive before and the drive before that and score, which they did. So if everybody wants to just keep hitting on him for not getting the 2-point conversion or the ball barely getting there, shut up.
Which
they
was blatant
way
pass
out of the game.
Blatant pass interference on the 2-point.
Yeah, blatant. They just wanted to get him home and get your boy a dub real quick. That way they can get all high and mighty about it and keep making fun of Russ. But Russ brought them back in that game and got it going. So you guys can hate on him all you want, but he's still a dog. He's weird, yes, but none of you guys married Sierra.
That's true.
Valid.
So shut
up. The Giants. So the Giants had a historic comeback this week, and I don't think that means anything whenever it's against the Cardinals.
The worst team in football.
I mean, they legitimately were like,
they were down 20-0 at one point.
At the half, they spent 6 quarters giving up 60 points and 0 points for them. That's the first 6 quarters of their season. So, and last year, if you guys remember, they didn't look good at the beginning, and they did get better. I don't think it's going to happen. They've already lost Saquon. Their receiving core is only Jalen Wyatt. And
what do you mean they only lost Saquon? There's no report out, bro.
Weeks.
Yeah, that's
out for 3 weeks.
Bro, everybody misses 3 weeks. That ain't nothing. He'll still put up 1,500.
Man, if it was his fingers or his shoulder, I wouldn't care. But this is the man's ankle. Like that's the thing that he uses. It's not his quad. His quads are fine. We know that.
Haters hate, man. You're just not a believer. You're a wide
receiver. I'm not a hater.
Guy.
I've got him. I've got him on my team. I took him. I wanted him to be great.
You're one of those
I was sure
guys,
this was the year.
You underpay running backs. You undervalue running backs. You don't care about them. You openly hate on
Receivers
them.
are better. Let's just air it out.
At what? I coach receivers. What are receivers better at?
At making points, making the game fun and enjoyable.
Yeah, exactly. No, watching Raheem Mostert most that thing, 41 right up the gut, split.
That was great.
Sick, bro.
All right. So, was there anything you guys took away from this week, like fantasy wise, NFL wise, like something that like you really like learned this week 2 in fantasy football?
I mean, there was nobody that really like popped off like week 1. That like those 40 bomb games, I don't believe. Like it was like pretty even across the boards. Like if you popped off, you were in the 20s or 30s, the range. But like there was nobody.
Honestly,
that had that 50
Thursday
bomb.
night was the best night for scoring as fantasy wise.
Yeah,
what I took away. If I can get some receivers from either the Houston or the Washington Commanders receiving core, I'm going to get fourth quarter points every week. If I go into the fourth quarter with 3 targets for 2 yards on one of these guys, I know I'm going to leave with a lot more than that. So I'm going to start targeting these garbage time guys. Now that the teams have showed up, who is going to be always losing? Houston's never going to be in a game. They're never going to be close. I mean, they just lost to the Colts like the way that they did. So I don't think that there's going to be a lot of teams that they're going to be keeping up with unless their defense can tighten up. So I think that that's my big takeaway is those 2 teams, any receiver.
Is there anybody you guys are like really trying to target right now for trade value? Like there's one person in the league that like you can't live without on your team. Like you could.
You know who I want? That's weird. Zay Flowers.
That's a good one.
I know he didn't have a crazy week, but I feel like that's the week to try to get him with the Odell injury. Yeah, and an Odell injury, and like that's another offense that's slowly but surely kind of showing they want to pass more. It's just going to be uncomfortable for everybody for a second. But if they can get it going, that dude is exciting. And I guess that goes into my biggest takeaway that week 1, week 2, all we can do right now is just analyze what we can analyze. Yes, some things are being confirmed for us. Yes, we still need to like look at things, but it's still not time to really panic. You can start to panic after one more week. I'm giving Kyle Pitts one more week before he's on the bench for Laporta permanently. I'm giving Justin Fields one more week before I'm like, okay, let me wait for you to fire your coach and then I'll put you back to start. You know, like I can rock with Jordan Love for a little bit. So for the most part, I'm just seeing the same stuff I always see. People are panic trading and they were trying to get rid of T. Higgins last week. They shut up now. Like, it's going to take a second for everybody, but just don't freak out, dude. It's a second week. Week 4, if you're maybe, but
Deebo Samuel, probably a player that hasn't really popped off enough to like where people are a little bit fearful. You took him late enough that you'd be willing to like just get a running back like a Zach Charbonnet or somebody that's like got some potential. I think Zach Charbonnet's one that I might try to trade for.
You're saying trade Deebo away?
No, trade for Deebo.
Okay.
So my trade targets are people that have been having a bad year so far, but I know that they're going to step it up. I think my biggest running back is Dameon Pierce. I'm legitimately trying to get him on my team right now. He's having a horrible time, but he's touching the ball a ton. And he's the biggest part of their offense besides all the receivers. So the whole garbage time thing is going to hurt him. He doesn't receive enough last year, but he's picking that up this year. That's why I like him.
And that's someone you could acquire because of how bad he's doing in the beginning of the year.
Exactly.
In the rare games they do win, he'll be enormous. Those will be 150, 200 plus with 2-3 touchdowns. Because if they only win 2 games, they're going to lean on the run to close it out. Or the reason why they're ahead is because he busted a couple of big ones and they're able to pass a little bit and just control the clock. So if they win 3 games, those are his 3 biggest games of the year. And that's fine.
Do you guys have a lot of Breece Hall, Dalvin Cook, Garrett Wilson?
I have Breece Hall and Dalvin on the same team, which I thought was going to be like genius because at least one of them will do good. And then Dalvin put up negative points and Breece Hall had 4 carries. So I don't know how that's going to work out for me. I thought that would be a good like 1 running back worth of starter just from having both of those guys. And that didn't. After last week, that doesn't seem to be the way it's trending.
So for fantasy purposes, I think that the Jets made me realize like you can't buy in to one team that much with that many players. Like, because if a player like Aaron Rodgers, the quarterback, goes down, like the entire team is wiped. All those running backs, all those receivers, like so like getting players from different teams actually is an advantage when it comes to injuries.
I have 4 leagues. I have 0 Jets across the board. And it's not that I wasn't like bought into the preseason hype. It's just they were going way too early for anywhere that I was willing to take any of them. Why am I taking Garrett Wilson mid-second round? Like
instead of Jalen Waddle,
never.
Devontae Adams was going after Garrett Wilson a lot of times. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah,
Olave,
there's 100
like,
people
these guys
I'll happily take. And same with Breece. Nothing against Breece, but again, I didn't know who's the usage. Yeah, Dalvin, maybe he still got it. Maybe they want to ease him into it off of injury. Maybe he goes ballistic and he just starts going ham off rip right again. But I don't care. Again, I draft running back early, so the rounds that he was going, I was picking up Rashard White as my 3rd or 4th and absolutely chilling.
So, Angels in the end zone. Do you guys got anybody that really popped off this week? Anybody that showed special promise?
We talked about him, my boy Nico Collins, out of Houston.
Bro, you took mine. We're on the same
Shit,
page
I knew
for the
you were
first
gonna
time in
take him too.
history.
I wanted to talk about a pre-show because I knew we were gonna have the same, but like
Yeah. Did
I
you
knew you
start him in any
real
leagues?
recognize real. Yes, no, I didn't start him in any league. Come on.
I was literally about to.
It's too early for
salute
that.
you,
No, it's
and
too
you
early
picked
for
me.
that. I draft good enough where I don't need to.
Can I literally show you? I did it with a ballsy move. So the same way we're talking about, I don't know if I trust Cortland Sutton. I like Jackson Smith, but I don't know if I trust him yet. And I flexed out DJ Moore. I got Cooper Kupp on IR. I'm like, dang, I could go high boom, high bust and start Nico Collins or just go safe with Cortland Sutton. But this dude came out on Thursday night with Swift. This dude started Swift, Hawkinson, and two other
Hurts.
ones. And
Hurts. Yeah. And he didn't have JJ, but yeah.
Yeah, with Mike Evans, with Mark Andrews. So I won by.
Did he have Addison?
No. 0.5 of a point off of Nico. I could have started Cortland. Would have made more sense, but
that's crazy.
Sometimes you just trust your gut, dude. And I've had Nico Collins since last year. I have been screaming that he's Andre Johnson 2.0 since last year. Can please someone throw him the ball? Yes, Justin, you heard it. He's 6'4". He's a big body. He's big speed.
We can give him the same.
Whole life.
We can give him the measurements and stuff. We need to pump the brakes on Andre Johnson 2.0. That's a Hall of Fame wide receiver we're talking about here.
And where do you go to college?
The U.
That's how, like, that. The only word I can think of is horny. That's how horny I am for Nico Collins, dude. He is excellent. Big, fast, strong hands. He will moss you. He will block. He'll run you over. He wants all that.
So Nico Collins is a top 3 wide receiver in the league, is what you're telling me right now.
He should
That's
be.
what you're describing.
Potential. Absolutely, positively, yes. He has the potential for it. No question. And now he's in a situation where he's literally going to get the ball thrown to him 10 times, and he's going to catch it at least 7 every game. So, yeah. Especially in fantasy. He might be top 2. The way your boyfriend's looking in Cincinnati.
Because you did send me the screenshot that you actually started him last week, I'm going to let you go ahead and just, that'll be your Angel as well. Did you have one, Justin?
So my honorable mention Angel was Sean McVay. And the reason is because the Rams and 49ers spread was +7.
Oh, I saw this.
The Rams were down 10 with 4 seconds left on 4th down, had no reason to do so, yet kicked a field goal to bring it to a 7-point game. So therefore it pushed every bet unless you were able to get 7.5. Like, I don't know what they knew on the inside, but if you had that bet on yours, you were also thinking Sean McVay. So that's my honorable mention for that. And then, I mean, as
it's not sketchy, bro. So if they have some weird divisional tiebreaker later, it goes to points scored. So like, yeah, they could try to throw a touchdown right there, but why not just take the 3 points? And if it really comes down to it at the end of the year, and we beat out the Seahawks by 1 point to win the division, because we're both 7-9, so be it. You know?
Yeah. No, I get it there. But no, and I mean, just because we're doing fantasy, there's some leagues that do IDP. Micah Parsons, like that dude is on an absolute tear right now. And if the MVP award wasn't such a quarterback award, I absolutely think he would be at the top 3, top 2 of the running right now. Like that dude is just. He was my defensive player of the year pick.
Whenever we did our defensive players of the year, they both picked him. I picked Nick Bosa because
he's dominating right now.
I know why you picked Nick Bosa. It's okay. But
so
they're real for going Micah Parsons, because that's actually who it is.
Yes, sir.
So I picked Nick Bosa because of how good he is. He's a Bosa. That dude, he walks around. All right, he walks around doing freaking like pass rush moves to like the hand sanitizer station. This guy eats, sleeps, and breathes it, and he's the highest paid defensive player.
Micah.
He's got the most
I
determination.
feel really bad. That's what I was gonna say. They both picked him, and I feel like an idiot right now.
I watched it on NFL Plus
that Jets
today.
game. Oh,
I watched it on NFL Plus today. Go and watch the Micah Parsons Football Life. It's like the legacy series they're doing, to where it's showing these younger guys coming into the league and how they got there. Bro, that dude could be a starting running back in the NFL, and I'm not even joking.
Mm-hmm.
That man's highlight
he's
tape
just
in
a
high
baller.
school at running back.
I thought we
is
would see
insane.
some.
He only moved the defense because they had like upperclassmen starting, and he was just like, "Well, we want you on the field, but this is where you got to go." And then he just dominated.
But they're running back right now.
He is. You know what I'm saying? Like
third downs.
That fantasy value is going to skyrocket.
Golly,
Penn
he's
State's coach James Franklin said if it wasn't for the COVID year, they would have had him playing both ways, like Travis Hunter style. Like he would have been getting carries on offense and like returning kicks and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not everyone produces every week. Sometimes while the big dogs are out eating, there's some puppies hanging out up on the porch. So who you guys got this week that just didn't want to join in on the fun?
Austin, you go first. That way, if you copy me, I can just think of another one really quick.
No. I need a second.
All right.
Well,
so
I don't want to be the douchebag and just beat a dead horse, but how? I don't know how to put into words what's going on with Kyle Pitts. If maybe everyone from day one, we've all just had expectations that Atlanta has never really cared about. They care about running the ball. He's out there blocking, washing down linebackers.
He's the fastest tight end in football out there blocking.
Just blocking his behind off. So great football. I put it in the group text every week how much I just don't like Arthur Smith. He looks really just ugly. Like his face and his facial hair, just everything about him just irks me. The way he coaches irks me. His attire irks me. Like, what is this like quarter sleeve baseball thing? And like you're wearing like an undershirt. Like he's just a stank person. I don't understand why they don't throw the ball more. They started throwing it to Drake a little bit more this week, which was awesome. But again, like Bijan kind of getting the ball enough. Love to see the usage. Kyle Pitts, you're a puppy. And honestly, it's getting to the point where maybe all of us should just give up. Unless you show us something over the next month, 2 months, or you ever go on a run to show us that you're on a Kittle level or the rest of the level, everyone's always just kind of drafted him right after that little crop or in that crop for the potential. But I'm getting to the point where, we all know the potential's there. In Kansas City, he put up 2,000 receiving yards, but he's not there. So that's my puppy.
Wonder if it's going to be after his fourth year, whenever they don't take the rookie option, because obviously they're not going to. He's worth so much money that they're paying him more than they're paying Bijan Robinson, because they took him at the 4th pick instead of the 7th. So it's ridiculous that this guy's going to make more money than Bijan in his first 5 years, and he's not going to produce anything at all. Maybe at his next team he'll be able to produce in some way, but I think Drake London could easily be on that list. I know he got a touchdown, but the guy from where his expectations are is not there. Not even a little bit.
It's Arthur Smith, dude. We can sit and watch the replays, and there's just so many instances where he just does the most mind-boggling weird things. And I don't know. I just really hope the best for offense.
What about you, Justin? What you got?
So, we'll also have the benefit right now of watching Monday Night Football on the side. So, I mean, if things continue, Najee Harris might be up there right now. 4 carries for 4 yards. Buddy needs to pick it up. But
is it that whole offense, Justin? For real? Is it Pickett? As he slips?
Or is it the defenses that they're playing
No,
against?
that offense right now, they just, for how hyped up they were this offseason, which they look great in the preseason. The hype was there, but then again, you always got to, it's preseason. You need to just kind of step back a little bit and take a look at who they're doing this against in the preseason. So yeah, they've definitely got me worried right now. But I mean, for me, I don't really want to necessarily just put it on him because he did have 305 yards and 2 touchdowns. And it's like, what more do you want the guy to do? But also, how many more fourth quarters are we going to see the Chargers have the lead in and they just blow it at the end? Like, this is a Tennessee team that nobody really expected to do anything this year. Derrick Henry, regardless. And they're sitting at 2-0 right now with the win over the Chargers. And I don't necessarily think Chargers or Bengals fans need to like panic right now. But you're sitting at 0-2, and I mean, just history shows starting at 0-2, that's not a good recipe for the playoffs later in the year. So I mean, for me, it's Justin Herbert because it's just like, the way you got paid, those are the games we expect to see you pull out.
Yo,
you had the opportunity, did he not?
Pickens with a big touchdown right there.
Pickens.
I was about to say, do not give that scrubby. No, George.
That was
71 yards.
71 yard.
So
Pickens,
can I take my angel in the end zone back as my phone goes crazy for all the George Pickens propaganda?
Your boy, one of my only bets was George Pickens TD.
So he just went from 0 points to 14 points.
You did, yeah. Look at you.
Come on now.
So again, you psychos that draft all these first round wide receivers in the first, second, and third, like DJ Moore, DK Metcalf, George Pickens, to go with Chubb, Henry, and Nick Chubb's already hurt. Bump him up with Rashard White because we draft running backs. You like Tajay Spears? I got Tajay Spears. You like Deuce Vaughn? I got me some Deuce Vaughn, huh? What do you want,
I
man?
wanted some Deuce Vaughn. I was so pissed when you took him in the Dynasty because he wasn't even showing up on the list yet. Like, he was so far down. And you just were like, oh, bro, he popped last week. Now, maybe for fantasy points, but that dude is all over the tape. Deuce Vaughn looks like a legit running
watching.
back. Like,
they're going to use him.
Watching him get hit, though, because he doesn't get tackled. He gets ping-ponged.
It's so
like, the
funny.
man just gets hit and just goes flying. But he bounces right up, and he's just ready to go. But it's literally like he does it like car crash style. Like, all right, let me just let my body go limp right here real quick, absorb the impact, and then just go.
Yep.
That's awesome. So my puppy that's just staying up on the porch, Jahan Dotson, we talked about it a little bit. 3 receptions, like 30 yards.
That was mom.
Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, all these guys are eating on this offense, and it's not his fault. It's completely the way that they're utilizing him.
He started off good, but the rest of the game,
they're throwing screen passes to him. They're not even giving him opportunities down the field, and that's where he had all of his value last year, was the 40, 50-yard catch over the middle and then taking it to the house. So they're misusing him. I think that they're going to have to figure that out. They won the game, but they won it off of the running back. They didn't really like
Brian Robinson.
Yeah, Brian Robinson, solid. So I think Jahan Dotson for sure. Oh my God, Najee Harris just fumbled.
Brian did look real solid though. Like, that was a real good game for him.
Who got
the
ball?
They recovered it in the end zone. Pittsburgh did.
But not Najee. He doesn't
Darnell
even get
Washington.
the touchdown. Darnell Washington, first touchdown.
Baby Darnell.
Go.
No way.
That was a 2-point.
I was about to say, bro. I was looking at Darnell
Just the 2-point.
anytime Teddy's.
Oh, true. That was, yeah.
I just saw the replay from the Nick Chubb thing. His entire knee exploded.
Not even that, but it was the same knee that exploded back in 2015 when he was at Georgia.
I was about to say it was the college knee.
Yes. His season's done.
Yeah.
Like, and let me put it this way for you. I'm, without looking, pretty positive Saquon and Chubb are both my running backs in my dynasty league. So that's awesome.
I'm going to put this in the chat because
that's why I like one running back leagues. They're my favorite.
I mean, that's what these two would just drive. I would not enjoy it with you two because it'd be boring. But Jesus,
give me all them receivers.
I'm saying it makes sense. The philosophy makes sense, but again, right there is why I like my philosophy a little bit more. Because in the Dynasty League, for example, where Weeze is freaking out because he only has 3 running backs on his team and one's hurt. So now it's like getting real dicey. I lost Saquon and David Montgomery in like a 45-minute span. And I'm like, dang, that kind of sucks. But I already had Kyron Williams because I drafted Kyron Williams and already had Rashard White. So it's not even like my team really skips a beat, dude. Like it potentially got better for down the season.
We gotta talk about what I mean. Rashad White looks solid, but like the Bucks in general, like they're doing that thing over there.
Baker.
We thought they were gonna be a top 3 worst team in the league,
Baker's
but like
dog.
To be
he
real,
got dog in him.
He's
He got 2
dog.
great receivers, great running back behind him, like, and a good defense.
Good offensive line too. They built that line for Tom.
Decent.
I mean, they got Tristan Wirfs last year. They got so they lost.
You
Tristan
see,
Wirfs
whenever
they
whenever
lost players, that was part of what their issue.
When Rashad White tries to run the ball, you see how bad their offensive line is. But when he gets dumped off those balls, like that's his value. He's an Austin Eckler type running back,
and that's perfect. And I'll say about Bake, I was working yesterday, and obviously everyone's watching the Bucks game, and it's like the hype. And one of my boys is like, when Tom Brady came, it was kind of whack because it just didn't really fit the vibe. It fit like the fake plastic vibe of Tampa, but Baker Mayfield is some true Tampa trash, baby.
For real.
I'm like, dude, honestly, he's short, he's stumpy, he's mean, he's yelling at people.
And he's been in the league for a while. He's a veteran.
So well.
You guys remember whenever he put the flag in, whenever he was with Oklahoma? Like, that's Baker Mayfield. Like, I don't give a damn.
Up, baby. That's my dude.
He's Money Manziel, but he made it.
Yeah, he watches film.
Straight up.
So, after tonight, the next thing we get to look forward to is the Giants without Saquon going to the 49ers for the Thursday Night Football. Justin, you got a little preview for us?
That is going to be a bloodbath.
Yeah.
As of right now, the 49ers, I believe, are a 10.5-point favorite at home. And I would hammer that.
I would.
Absolutely, I would hammer that. Because, yes, we just saw the Giants come back. So I think I won't be shocked to see some people, it's on a short week. Let's maybe, take the Giants spread a little bit. And nope. It's a short week. You're having to game plan a game without Saquon.
Your best player.
And you're going up against the 49ers defense. This isn't the Arizona Cardinals defense. And this isn't the Arizona Cardinals offense. Like, as great as Josh Dobbs played, like, this is going to be a bloodbath.
Are you starting anybody on the Giants fantasy-wise this week?
Absolutely not. Not if I can help it.
I mean, Jalen Wyatt's the only one that I would question, and only because of what Puka Nacua did last week.
You're probably starting Darren Waller. Just where you drafted him.
Because you have to.
But that's by default. But other than that, like I said, if I have the choice, I'm
terrified about it too. I'm looking on the waivers this week to see if there's someone like a Sam Laporta or like a Hunter Henry, so that I don't have to start Darren Waller. That would be ideal because he might get a touchdown, but they could end up getting like 50 yards on the game. So
he could have one of his old school Raiders games. You know how when they used to just get into a pickle, they would just run drag routes with him and just chuck it a million times. The Giants started doing that this past game, and it was like, oh, okay, so we're just gonna hit the cheese like the whole way. So I wouldn't completely rule him out. Danny Dimes, heck no. Hyatt, underdog, and maybe some DraftKings action if you want to do like even a showdown captain. Throw him in as a captain and then stack like the Niners kicker, Niners defense, Debo Ayuk, something wild like that.
Yeah, Houdini fantasy.
Yeah, something
like that.
But yeah.
Now, what about on the other side? 49ers, you've got Ayuk, Christian McCaffrey, Debo. Obviously, Christian
Ayuk's
McCaffrey's
looking hurt
every week, no matter what.
You saw him roll his shoulder up.
You're starting them all.
You're starting them all.
I mean, after what the Cardinals looked like on their offense last week, it's kind of. I agree with you, Justin. Like it's crazy not to start every single person that's playing against the Giants right now. They look like Swiss cheese on defense.
Which is crazy because they look like they had the best defensive line in the NFL last year.
You're starting the 49ers defense. You're starting any IDP players for the 49ers.
Bobby Orige.
On the betting surface, 49ers defense / special teams to score a touchdown is a great value bet for you. You're going to get that at like plus 1,800, almost probably upward towards plus 3,000. Just because of how rare it is for them to score. But, I mean, you're going to have a Daniel Jones interception. Daniel Jones over 0.5 interceptions is a great bet for that game. Like anything that gives you the lean on the 49ers defense, it's going to be a good bet.
Ufungo, he's been looking good out there.
Oh, them Samoans, baby. And if you got a Polynesian safety. Oh no!
Watch out!
I've heard it work before. Get this guy head and shoulders deal.
Palomalu.
Hey.
Well, thanks for staying tuned so long. We got another episode for you guys on Friday. We're going to preview this coming week's fantasy football matchups. And then on Sunday, starting at 11:30 Eastern Time, we're going to do a live show, start-sit analysis. Who should I start, this guy or that guy? And we're just going to give you guys exactly who you should start. And you should probably listen to me and only me because, you know, I'm the back-to-back two-time champion. So, you guys got anything else to add?
Do not listen to only Colby. Do not do that. If you do anything.
We started out this episode with you saying you told Alex to sit Josh Reynolds after I had told him to start him.
That's fine. Hey, I'm 8-2. I'm 8-2 right now. Let's get the all right. Well, let's get the records. Let's just let the people know.
No,
all right, I'm 8-2.
No, Colby.
You know,
Colby,
what are we looking at?
Time out. So again, you are very good at taking care of yourself. But when it comes to other people's teams and other people's situations, it's almost like you have this diabolical
It's a switch. It's a switch.
That's fucked up. That's fucked up.
Brother,
how can I
you every year? You are a scam artist. I don't know how you do it.
That's not true. I led Valdez to a championship last year in the Dynasty. That is not true. Led him to a championship.
Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, and then Tyreek Hill got traded to the same team as him. That's how Valdez won the championship.
He had a question for me every week. Every week. So I'm just saying, stay tuned for more information. Hit the bell so that you guys get notified when we go live. Thanks for joining. Shout out Day One Dolphins.
Gang.
And Tulsi Rose.
Do the Twitter thing. TulsiRoseT.com for all your tea needs.
Our sponsor.
They deliver.
Shout out.
Y'all boys, take it easy. Good night.
Drop me off some tea, bro. I need some of that.
Yeah.